Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Christy Spierka. Welcome to our next speaker on our Voices of Women Summit. I'm so happy to be here with you and to be here with Valerie Fuson. I'm so excited to hear about your talk, Telling Story with Heart, H-E-A-R-T with points. So I'm assuming we have 5 points about storytelling. But before we jump in, Valerie, why don't you tell us about why you are so passionate about this?
Well, a lot of times women are put down, be quiet, be sweet, be nice. And that's pretty much how I grew up. As a 5 year old, I loved to sing. I was singing in the house, and my mother said, "Don't sing in the house." And so I thought, well, the shower should be safe. So I was singing in the shower. And she said, "Don't sing in the shower, even, or you're too loud on the phone." And so I was already shy, and I just kept getting more and more closed in. And I realized, as I'm getting older, I need to really find my voice and use my voice. And I've struggled many years with that, and to the point where I've become almost an expert at finding my voice and helping other people find their voice. So I'm a speaking coach now and a storytelling coach.
I love that, Valerie. I know I relate with that on such a personal level. I'm so sure that so many women here will as well. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what it means to speak with heart?
Definitely, and thank you for being here. It's terrific. With heart, it's I this is pretty much not on how to tell a story, but more on the delivery to get the impact. And so the H starts is for passion. Be passionate about your story. Tell your story, uh, as if you're telling it to your best friend. A lot of times we get on stage and you start telling a story and just kind of shut down, very monotone. So really bring out that passion and why you're passionate about your topic. The E is for emotion. So what I'm going to be talking about are a lot of items that people tend to leave out of their presentations and out of their story. So these are
Mm.
easily forgotten ideas. And one is the emotion. Again, we get on stage and we kind of be real quiet. We don't know, aren't sure about the audience. And we tell stories without the emotion. You want to bring the emotion into your story because that's the only way the audience is going to feel the story. You're transporting them into your story by getting them to feel, oh, I understand that story. Like you said, that you relate to my story. And we want the audience to relate to our story. And so we have to tell it with more of an emotion in it. And the other thing on emotion is to determine what emotions you want your audience to feel as you go through your presentation. So if you're telling something serious, then you want to elevate it with something, something more elevated that's higher, passionate. So you want to keep them on this arc, and
Mm.
you always want to leave them in a state of happiness at the end. Not you don't want to bring them down at the end. So you have to be careful where your stories are and how you're delivering that emotion.
I love
The
that.
other,
So you want to jump in with passion and then take them on that emotional ride, but end on a really happy note to feel them like they walked away with a lollipop or something.
yes, either happy or inspired. So
Mm.
it doesn't have to be that, oh, I'm so giddy, but more inspired. You want to, if your presentation is about motivation, what do you want them to do when they leave you? That's the
Yeah.
one thing I always tell my clients is, what is the one thing you want them to think, feel, or do when they leave you? And so that's, it's you're also helping them with that emotion, you're helping them with that drive, you're giving them some ideas on what they can do with their life to improve whatever situation it is they want, more sales, better relationships. And so that's something that's really key, is to manage that. The other thing is
Beautiful.
to know your audience. You want to invite your audience in to your story. So it's not you focused, but audience focused. And a lot of people forget about that too. I, instead of you. How would you feel about this? What's something that you can do next? That's more you focused. So if you count your eyes in your presentation and you have more eyes than you have yous, then you know that you're not audience focused. People want to feel that they're part of this presentation, that you're giving them part of your story. And by bringing them in, talking to them, having a conversation with them, like our audience online, what is something that that they can do or that you can do to help your speech better? What are some things that you can do that will enhance it?
Mm,
So that's what the A, and the attitude is to have positive and attitude about what you're delivering. If you're in a bad mood before you get to the stage, you have to switch it so that you're in the mood for the audience to elevate them.
mm. Yeah, right, because your energy is contagious. So if you want your audience to feel what you're trying to deliver, you have to be in that same energy before you step on that stage.
Correct, correct. And so the other thing with the audience is if they are in a lower key because there may have been intermission between the speakers, then you want to start where they're at and then elevate them. So you always have to control your power of how you control their emotions and their energy, because, like you said, the energy um, is adaptable. It's contagious,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you're getting energy from your audience too.
Right? It becomes like a mutually beneficial relationship in the moment.
Right, right. And the R is to relive your story, step into the story, and relive it instead of narrating it. A lot of times, speakers will narrate. He said, she said, I said, and you really want to incorporate dialogue. The dialogue brings it into a first person story. And so that's something also that you want to, my best friend, Carol, she's going to be moving out of state. And what am I going to do about a friend? Yeah, I always have dinner with her. So what am I going to do about that? So she told me that don't worry about it. She's going to be flying in for dinner every other weekend. She won't, but that's what she said.
It's a good friend.
That's a good friend. So you want to incorporate dialogue. And sometimes the dialogue is between you and the audience, where you're actually asking them a question and conversing with them. Again, that brings them into your story. And when you're reliving your story, you're in the moment, and then they feel like they're stepping in with you and they're in the room with you. So that brings a story alive.
I love that.
And then the last part is, this is also often neglected, is a transformation. The transformation of your character that you're telling the story about, how they transformed. With my story, I was shy and I needed to have a to train my staff when I had my own business. And I hired somebody to do that for me because I didn't want to do it because I was afraid of speaking. So I started working on myself to develop that. So it was a process for me. And with my clients, I take them through the process too of what, how were they were before the status quo, to how are they now that you've helped them? How have they transformed? What have they learned? How is their business now that you've helped them transform? And your audience doesn't want to see, oh, I was poor and then I had this big house, see the house behind me, and now I'm rich and I can help you too. There's no transformation in there.
Mm,
So you want to take them through that emotion of the transformation and imagine how your life is going to be once you achieve the success you've been wanting. So you're taking them through reliving it, imagining it, and seeing their future. And that is part of the transformation of their arc, just like in a
that's
movie.
yeah, beautiful. And so Can you speak a little bit more to like what your transformation was like? Like you started out this shy, mommy's voice in your head, always be quiet. I understand that so completely. And now here you are on stage in front of thousands of women sharing your story and your heart. What was that transformation like for you? What did you have to kind of go through a little bit to come out the other side to be where you are today?
Well, I had taken a lot of lessons in speaking and being assertive, not aggressive, assertive. And that's one thing. There was a networking event, and they asked, "Well, what's the difference between assertive and aggressive?"
Great question.
And, and half of the audience didn't know. They thought they were the same.
Mm.
So that's something also, we're taught to, if you speak up, you're aggressive. When you're not, you're just stating your point and you're delivering your message, but that's not being aggressive. It could be being assertive. So understanding the difference. So my transformation was that I struggled for many years in trying to develop myself and to be comfortable on stage. One of the things that helped me, the key thing, was improv classes.
Ooh, that's exciting.
And yes, and so I studied Second City for a year, and now I incorporate improv into my training. I teach women executives and entrepreneurs how to create their signature speech, how to speak from the stage. And part of that delivery comes from the improv because you don't want to keep thinking about what's in my head. You want to have all the attention to your audience. And being in that moment is what something else that improv taught me. So there's a lot of business lessons in improv, and I incorporate that into my presentation. And so that was a key thing for me to stepping out of my comfort zone.
I love that. And that improv too also kind of brings me back to what you said before about having that attitude, right? When you can feel the energy of the audience and you're open to just playing with that in the moment, you can better meet your audience and actually build a deeper emotional connection with your audience and take them on that journey that you described.
Mhm. And that's exactly, you mentioned it exactly. It's playing with your audience. So you want to feel so comfortable that you play with them. And now they feel that energy coming back and forth because you're joking with them, you're making them laugh. And improv is not just, it's not about comedy. It's about being comfortable and being aware of what comes to you and using that. If you practice your script, your speech, then if something happens, you get lost. But if you're free to, oh, yeah, they're asking these questions, let me address that then. And your whole speech gets to change because now you're actually addressing the issues, the questions with the audience.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You can meet them in that moment. And that is so much more impactful than just reading from that script. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, do you have a free gift that you want to talk about that you're here that you have to share with the audience today?
Yes. So the free gift I have is actually a framework. It's a signature speech framework, and uh, it takes you step by step on how to create your speech and all the components to it. So there's actually 7 parts, but there's a few other components within each part, and it's hooking the audience at beginning, and then uh, what is the theme? What do you want your audience to think about when they leave? And then your points, and each point should have a story or something to maybe a visual, something to relate to that point to drive that, and then your summary, your close.
I love
And so I
that.
have, so it's a PDF and they can download that.
I'm excited. I can't wait to download that because I love public speaking and the more perspectives I can learn, and I really love your approach. Your HERT approach is just such a wonderful spin on how to draw people in and connect, and that's so important, especially in a world where connection can be so easily lost these days. So that's really, and it sounds like that shouldn't just be a free gift. That should be a paid gift. So everybody who's watching, go score yourself some wonderful information there from our lovely Valerie Fusion. And do you have a VIP gift that you're offering our
I,
VIPs
I
today as well?
do, I do. So I'm going to have a workshop in a master class in May 25th. And it's a triple impact tales, stories that drive sales forward. So it's going to be finding your, minding your stories and finding the three most important stories to, to help your clients, help your audience and move it forward. And so it'll be a 2 hour workshop. It's a $295 value, and I'm offering it as a gift to all of the attendees.
That's amazing. And so for everybody watching, if you haven't yet, you can upgrade to VIP for just $79. And Valerie's gift alone is about triple the investment that you'll make by upgrading to VIP, and you'll get access to all of the recordings of all these amazing women and their VIP gifts as well. And I know you will probably see me at that workshop with you, Valerie.
Oh,
Again,
great.
I'm so inspired by what you have to share today. This has been a new perspective that I'm very excited to bring into my own work with people. It looks like Marla is also in. She's very excited to join you. So keep an eye out for Marla when you have your workshop.
Oh,
And
I will. And it's all online, so you can be anywhere in the world.
yeah, that's awesome. And so is there like, we've got a couple minutes more. Is there anything else that like you're thinking of that maybe would help our listeners or viewers craft their own personal stories, or maybe another anecdote of your own?
Well, there's a couple of things. Is don't be afraid of emotion. In my workshops, I do work on emotion with people, and I have them go from sad to happy to excited all within seconds. And so they're developing that, and I feel that all of my sessions are interactive, so that you're if you're listening to it, you're going to forget it. But if you do it and you feel it, and your body will remember it.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of emotion, and really, speaking is the fastest path to cash. So if you're not a speaker now, uh, you should be, because it also gives you a lot of confidence, and confidence is sexy. So
It sure
remember, it is, right?
it sure is.
We're attracted to people with confidence, and it's attractive and it draws people in. So you want to really develop that confidence, and
Yeah.
you just really start telling stories, because that's going to be the most impactful thing in your presentation.
It really is because, before we had technology or even the ability to write, history was passed down story from story, oral history, right? And so having the ability to share a story with those around us is probably the most important skill that we as humans can continue to hone and pass on from generation to generation. So your presentation today is so important, and I love your energy and the lessons that you had to share with us. Um, so it was so wonderful to be with you. And just for our listeners who are here now, our next speaker is going to be Lana Statella. She's going to talk to us about embrace your authenticity and live with intent. So that also sounds really amazing. I'm really excited to hear what she has to tell us. But before we pop off, Valerie, do you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our listeners and our viewers today?
Uh, yes, again, be be a speaker. Don't be afraid of it. Let go of any inhibitions that you have for it. Take an improv class, and just really start being authentic to yourself. A lot of times we try to please people, and, well, what do you want? How do you want me to act? And maybe I have to act like this. Use your voice. Your voice is your most important gift, and that can help you be very successful, just by standing in your power and using your voice, not only for yourself, but for other women, your children. Teach everyone you know to stand up for themselves and use their voice. And I think that the world will be a lot better when we just share our authentic self.
Amen to that, Valerie. You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen, on the Voices of Women. Use your voice and use it to inspire those around you and lift up everybody around you. Such a beautiful message, Valerie. Thank you so very much. Everybody in the chat is so grateful
Thank
to
you,
you
Christy.
today, and they are just loving everything that you have to say. I will be keeping an eye out for you to see where else you show up and listen more. So with that, thank you everybody for joining us today on the Voices of Women Summit. I'm Christy Spirka, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
Wow, that was another amazing session. We hope you enjoyed it as well. If you haven't already upgraded to VIP, now is the time. Grab all the recordings of all of the talks and VIP gifts worth thousands of dollars. For any questions or concerns, please email our support line at support@voicesofwomensummit.com. We will be back in a few moments with our next amazing speaker.
Thank you, Christy.